Hi, I'm Tor, and today I'm going to talk about the American presidential candidates from a Norwegian perspective. I'm looking at a predictit.org market for candidates, and on the top we have Joe Biden, which is the leader in the field right now. He was the vice president of Barack Obama for 8 years and is considered moderate in the field. I'm not a fan. I think Joe Biden is going to probably bring forward the same policies that we saw under the Obama administration. He's not a progressive candidate, he does not support Medicare for all, and he would probably be more likely to drag America into new wars than many of the other candidates. In Norway, he's kind of well liked, I think, because of his name recognition and the kind of friendly Uncle Joe image that he has. But when you look at all the issues that are facing the American people, he is going to be more of the same, a corporate-owned candidate who will not be able to deliver progressive policies. On the second place, we have Bernie Sanders, which I really like. In the preparation for the 2016 election cycle, I kind of noticed Bernie Sanders really early because I already knew quite early that I didn't like Hillary Clinton. I didn't think she was a good candidate, mainly because of her tenure as Secretary of State and her hawkishness towards the war in Libya. And I also knew that she would be a very unpopular presidential candidate because she was seen as this Washington insider. She's a part of the establishment. Not a part of, she is the establishment in the Democratic Party. And in 2016, I knew that the American people was really sick and tired of the establishment. So I didn't like her as a candidate. Bernie Sanders, on the other hand, labeled himself as a democratic socialist, and we're pushing really progressive policies like Medicare for all, tuition-free colleges and universities, taxing the rich more, spending more on the infrastructure, and all over progressive policies that we in Norway really like because we have them. That's how Norway is run. We pay a little more taxes, but we get social security, we get a free healthcare or virtually free. We get tuition-free universities, we have sick days off, we have parental leave up to a year, roughly speaking. So Norway is kind of the progressive dream for many Americans, I think. And Bernie Sanders have many times lifted up Norway as a goal when it comes to policies. So Bernie Sanders is a really good candidate. Also this time around, he's getting older, but he could probably manage a period or two as president. Age isn't insignificant, but you would just have to mind more who is the vice president, I think. So, a thumbs up for Bernie Sanders. Good luck in the election. The next candidate on the predicted list is Kamala Harris. She has been viewed as kind of the establishment candidate, and she is a senator from California. Previously, she was an attorney general, and she had some bad history, I think, from her period as attorney general and prosecutor. A lot of people being thrown in jail for things that we here in Norway would not throw people in jail. The justice system in the United States is quite draconic, and being a part of that and being happy with how it is and throwing people in jail over not sending the children to school and for keeping small quantities of marijuana, I think that's a bad legacy. And it shows that maybe she doesn't care too much about the little people or groups that are marginalized. But she are pushing some progressive policies like legalization of marijuana or legalization of cannabis. That's good. But from a Norwegian perspective, she is still far too corporatist leaning, far too moderate, and she would not get my support. On the next place we have Pete Buttigieg. I think I nailed that one. He is young, he's just a year older than me, and he speaks Norwegian apparently. So he's a cool guy, and he's gay. First openly gay candidate, I think. And he's very smart, he's a concert pianist, and you really need some more smart people in Washington, I think. So I quite like him, but he might be too centrist still. He's been a bit wishy-washy on Medicare, and you should probably have someone with more experience in the Congress or in the Senate, I think. Not to be ageist, but I think candidates like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and some of the other senators, they know the ins and outs of the American government and would probably be more able to get their agenda through the houses. On the next position we have Elizabeth Warren. I see that she has been rising in the polls lately, and I think it's great. She's a very good candidate. She's quite progressive. She really takes the fight to the big bankers and big corporations. I think her heart is really in the right place. And I think in a Norwegian setting, she would be a popular candidate in Norway as well. But she would be not on the left side, she would be on the right side in the Norwegian spectrum. Because here in Norway, everyone is a social democrat, basically. But I like her. I wish her the very best. I think if she would end up beating Bernie Sanders and be the next candidate, I think that's probably okay. She has some really nice qualities. She's a bit old as well, but she looks healthy, so it might be okay. On next place we have Andrew Yang, which he has no political experience really. He's been going around starting businesses in venture from America, and he seems like a great guy. I've seen a lot of interviews with him, and his main issue is the universal basic income, or freedom dividend as he is calling it. So that's really cool. I think America should really look at the freedom dividend or universal basic income, and as should Norway, but that's a very progressive policy even here. So it doesn't really have much support in Norway, but it's a really good idea if you do it right, I think. There's pitfalls with it, and I'll discuss that in another video, but he has really thought through a lot of these issues that are facing America when it comes to robotics and automation. So he's a good candidate for a secretary post, maybe Secretary of Labor or something like that. I think that would be a good idea because he has some really good experience to bring to the table and have really done his work on policies. If you look at his webpage, it's a lot of policies. That's way better than, for instance, Buttigieg. Doesn't really want to talk about policies at all. So that's kind of disqualifying, perhaps, for Pete. He should really be more upfront about what kind of policies he wants to implement. On the next position we have Beto O'Rourke. He lost the Senate race against Ted Cruz in Texas, but now I think he's going to win the presidential race. He's born for it, apparently. I'm not so impressed. He seems like another corporate Democrat. He seems to be cozying up with the oil lobby in Texas, and his campaign has not really got very much traction yet, so we'll see. But I don't think he is a good candidate. The next candidate is Cory Booker from New Jersey, I think. And he's a very good speaker, uses a lot of words and fancy words, but he's bought by the drug companies, basically. So I wouldn't trust him with bringing Medicare for all, for instance. His agenda seems to be playing progressive, but he's really serving the corporate class and the drug companies. So he's not a good candidate, and he's not a candidate I would support. Yes, so there's a long list of candidates further down that hasn't really got any traction and is very unlikely to succeed, but just mention a few of them. I like Tulsi Gabbard. She has the most credible anti-war agenda in the field, and her message against interventionist wars is very good. So I hope she gets some more traction. She could be a great Secretary of State, for instance, for Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren. That would be very good for the whole world to have someone who opposes war on that level with that credibility that Tulsi Gabbard has as a vet herself. Okay, so this was my thoughts about some of the American presidential candidates from the Democratic Party for the 2020 election. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and subscribe to my channel to receive more content about the Norwegian perspective on the American politics. Ha det bra!